I'm not here to really advocate for one person. That needs to happen in court. No evidence has actually ever been presented.
You went to El Salvador. Now you're saying it's not about him? Of course it's about him.
Due process.
You went to El Salvador for a political stunt, and now you're saying it's not about him.
It is about this case. Laura, it is about the rule of law. This is a bipartisan issue. It transcends partisan politics. That's why a conservative-leaning Supreme Court has said that Donald Trump must facilitate the return of this individual. This is very dangerous. We are turning into an authoritarian country, and there are Americans from all across the political spectrum who are deeply concerned about this.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
At what point did she think this was a good idea?
Again, my office has not received more calls about any other issue since I have been a congresswoman than this one, tariffs being the second one, and the lack of real logical economic policy. But the issue of due process, no, these are the economy. When we had a town hall the other night, this is the issue.
All right,
and the economy is a mess as well, unfortunately, under this administration. So
Fox is going to have a harder and harder time justifying what Trump is doing, because he's not just doing it to migrants, and he's doing it to citizens. The latest attack on the rule of law is the FBI arrest of a Milwaukee County Circuit Judge, Hannah Dugan. Hannah Dugan, according to the FBI, is now being charged with 2 counts of obstruction and helping to conceal the arrest of somebody. Essentially, what they are saying is that ICE came in trying to arrest a Mexican immigrant that was appearing in front of her in an unrelated matter, and according to them, she interfered. Now, she was brought into a federal court. They arrested her in her courtroom and brought her to a federal court hearing. This is a judge. She's been a judge since 2016. She was the former president of the Milwaukee Bar Association. This should scare every American, because we have heard the Trump administration saying they plan on going after city officials, county officials, for any interference with their immigration enforcement. And now they are, and they're doing it to a judge. This is something I've literally never heard of. The push about the boundaries, going beyond the boundaries of what has ever been acceptable before. We cannot normalize this. This is what the FBI is doing. This is what they're doing today. In addition to that, the FBI in Michigan raiding the homes of former or current college students from the University of Michigan who were involved in the pro-Palestine protests there. And according to their lawyers, these students were targeted because of the fact that they were the students at University of Michigan involved in the protests. Again, using the FBI in order to go after people legally here, exercising their First Amendment rights. Trump using the power of the FBI, which is an immense amount of power, going after citizens here in this country, a judge, students, for doing things he just doesn't like. This is what an authoritarian person does. This is what he is doing.
Madam What's happened to our judiciary is beyond me.
Yeah, so when the American public hears this and they think these were once upstanding people in their communities and their professions, and they put it all on the line for this, I mean, have you dug into their motive? Like, what inspired them to carry out these acts and harbor criminals?
They're deranged is all I can think of. I cannot believe. I think some of these judges think they are beyond and above the law, and they are not. And we're sending a very strong message today. If you are harboring a fugitive, we don't care who you are. If you are helping hide one, if you are giving a TDA member guns, anyone who is illegally in this country, we will come after you and we will prosecute you. We will find you.
So while we have him also with migrants rounding people up and sending them to concentration camps, we're seeing what he's doing at home in real time. And this is going to be harder and harder for his biggest defender, Fox News, to defend, because the American people are paying attention and they don't want this happening.
See these judges trying to obstruct your efforts to make this country safer. What is your message to them?
we are going to prosecute you, and we are prosecuting you. I found out about this the day it happened. We could not believe, actually, that a judge really did that. We looked into the facts in great depth. That's her picture up on the screen, Hannah Dugan, who is now in custody. You cannot obstruct a criminal case, and really, shame on her. It was a domestic violence case of all cases, and she's protecting a criminal defendant over victims of crime.
Read to you FBI Director Kash Patel's tweet. He says in part, quote, just now, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week. He says, going on, saying, we believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing the subject, who they call an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Now, they say that this individual was eventually arrested by DHS officials. This is something that is just developing, Anna, and we have not yet seen any court documents in this case, but we are awaiting further news on this topic.
This isn't even about political ideology or even immigration. We're seeing judges who clearly lean towards a specific side. They're called activist judges, but that's a contradiction. Judges are not activists. They are judges. Maybe this judge has a backstory with this illegal. Could it be? It's not just the gavel that she's banging, Shannon.
Tennessee is becoming one of the latest flashpoint areas in this country regarding immigration because there is a bill there that is particularly cruel that is going through the legislature. The bill would require immigration status checks of every student in the K-12 public school system in the state. And the sponsor, one of the sponsors of the bill, does not rule out that that bill may require the school to then report to ICE any student without immigration. If you notice, there's not a bill requiring any major box retailer or fast food chain to have immigration checks of their employees. Now, does it? No, it is targeting students. It's targeting children. They may want their parent to show up and work, but they don't want that child to get an education. That is particularly cruel and unfair and un-American. And this is why people in Tennessee are showing up, protesting that very loudly, becoming perhaps one of the more flashpoint areas in this wider discussion of whether or not and how America is going to be willing to push back against all the things the Trump administration is doing.
The whole point of this country is that no one person should have too much power. Like, to me, that's the whole point of a country. The king was somebody who had too much power.
Yep.
And we said, we're not going to do it that way. There were ferocious debates at the time of the founding over whether to even create a presidency. Because Jefferson was worried that if we had a president, it would turn into a king.
Yeah.
And they kind of hit a compromise where we created the president, but we took all these measures in the Constitution to make sure that that presidency didn't become too powerful. And this is like a part of the texture of our country. My favorite fun fact about Washington, D.C. is the Jefferson Memorial, the round domed columned structure with the statue of Jefferson right in the middle, has him perfectly aligned with the exact center line of the White House. So that if you're standing in the Blue Room, which is in the middle of the White House, looking south, you have there's a straight line.
He's watching you.
Because he's watching. He's watching the executive, saying he doesn't want the executive office, the president, to get out of hand.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.